The Great Lakes population of piping plover is a federally endangered North American shorebird. It is approximately 17 centimeters in length, weighs around 40 to 65 grams, and has a wingspan of about 38 centimeters. This population of piping plover breeds on the sparsely vegetated shores of the Great Lakes, mainly in the United States, but occasionally can be found in Canada. In winter, they migrate along the Atlantic and Gulf coasts of the United States and into Mexico. To blend in well with their principal beach habitats, the piping plover has light, sand-colored upper feathers with a white underside. In addition, they have a single black band across the upper breast and a smaller black band across the forehead. However, in adult females, the breast band is often thin or incomplete, and their plumage is usually duller than in adult males. During the breeding season, the legs and beak are bright orange, and the bill has a black tip. Then, during the winter, their legs become pale, their beaks turn black, and their darker markings are no longer visible. The chicks are speckled gray with traces of brown and a white underside. These young birds do not get the color of the adult piping plover until the spring after they fledge. Around late April, adult piping plovers start arriving to the Great Lakes region to breed. During courtship, these shorebirds will start behaviors of aerial display. This includes digging of several nest scrapes and a ritualized stone-tossing display. The nests of piping plovers are shallow depressions that are approximately 6 centimeters in diameter and 2 centimeters deep. In addition, they are lined with light-colored pebbles and shell fragments. These nests are actively defended by both male and female piping plover. When the female starts to lay her eggs, she will typically lay an egg every other day until there are 3 to 4 eggs in the nest. Then, for 25 to 31 days, both parents will share incubation responsibilities. A few hours after being hatched, the chicks can feed themselves. However, both parents will take on brooding responsibilities until they decide it is time to leave. Typically, the female will desert the brood first, approximately 1 to 2 weeks after the chicks have hatched. The male will leave later on, in late July or early August. The juveniles will leave a few weeks after the adults. Prior to the 1900s, there was an estimated population of 492 to 682 total breeding pairs in the Great Lakes region. However, due to uncontrolled hunting and increased human disturbances on the Great Lakes beaches, the piping plover population has since plummeted to near extinction, with as few as 17 breeding pairs in 1985. It was in January of 1986 that the Great Lakes piping plover was listed as federally endangered, with all other populations of piping plover being listed as threatened.
So humans are definitely a big reason that the population for piping plovers has dropped, mainly because piping plovers need undisturbed beaches, but humans love beaches too. They love running dogs on beaches, which is a huge disturbance to piping plovers.
Humans are not the only reason the piping plover population has decreased. Another major contributor is flooding.
The main thing that jeopardizes their eggs is rising water levels. If we get a big storm or big wind events, if the water level rises too fast to save the eggs and they get swamped out, that's a loss for those eggs.
One final major contributor are the predators. Many mammals and birds prey on the piping plover. With that, many of these predaceous animals, like the gulls, have increased in the Great Lakes region, causing successful breeding to be difficult for this endangered shorebird. Sadly, if piping plover feel threatened in any way, they will desert their nests. Fortunately, if there is enough time in the breeding season, some breeding pairs may attempt to make another nest. Since then, there has been extensive efforts to monitor the Great Lakes piping plover and protect its principal habitat.
So, because piping plover is a federally endangered species, there is a lot of monitoring going on for this bird. Basically, every single pair that is looking like it's attempting to breed in the Great Lakes is monitored by either paid or volunteer staff. So, people check on these birds every day to see how the nesting is going, if they're incubating the eggs or if they're raising chicks, and report back to somebody who works for Fish and Wildlife Service and just say the birds are still doing good, or something happened, and then they figure out if we need to do anything about it. So examples of that would be predation or abandoning eggs or abandoning chicks.
An important way through which the piping plover is monitored is through their banding. Each band on a piping plover's leg is a means to help identify the bird. This also helps with tracking the bird. When a monitor spots a piping plover, the first thing they are to do is document the band formation. The Great Lakes population of piping plover will typically have an orange flag on the upper right leg.
All of the adults have unique color band combinations on their legs that designate if they're a Great Lakes bird or if they're a coastal bird or a plains bird. And from the unique color combination, you can even tell where these birds are breeding.
Another way people are helping the Great Lakes piping plover is through beach restoration. As previously mentioned, piping plovers need sparsely vegetated beaches to breed. Many of these beaches are either taken over by humans or have been invaded with invasive species. For the piping plover, the main goal of the beach restoration is to remove the vegetation so that there is more open beach for them to breed. In addition, when a piping plover is spotted in one of these open beaches, monitors will place signs in the nesting area to keep people out, and fencing around the nest for further protection from predators. This summer, starting on May 4th of 2016, the Cat Island chain in Green Bay, Wisconsin, became a seasonal home to a pair of piping plovers. After they were spotted, wildlife biologists immediately set up fences, like this one, to keep predators out. They were also monitored every day by Tom Presby and other volunteers. After 25 days, the chicks began to hatch. 3 out of 4 eggs hatched. By the beginning of August, all 3 juveniles were able to fly and started to head to the wintering grounds. It was the first time in 75 years that the piping plover has successfully nested in the lower bay. Hopefully, the summer of 2017 is just as successful.